All right, and welcome to another Thursday. It is time for an RCS Live. How's it going? As always, Nate Mumford, Director of Sales Engineering here at RCS. And as you know, every Thursday at 11 a.m., we pick an RCS product, talk about some tips and tricks, and we check in with you, and we talk about all this fun stuff we have going on here at RCS. And I'm in a great mood because Sandy's already checked in from Ireland, which I saw as I was checking in earlier. So, hi, Sandy. How's it going? Any questions? Let me know. We're here to help out. As always, you can check out our full list of past videos over on our archive, rcsworks.com/rcs-live. In addition to that, don't forget to check your backup paths and all of that good stuff. And yes, let's get some housekeeping out of the way before we talk about Aquira. That is our traffic software. And talk about the proposals and the contracts and look at some of those information there too. Just want to remind you, we are out and about. We're going to be at CRS. We're going to be at Radio Days, NAB. We're just having some conversations this week about going to Canadian Music Week and Radio Days over in Toronto as well. Really excited for all those events. It's going to be so much fun getting to see you again live in person. And don't forget, we're going to be doing some RCS Academy sessions as well. So, for example, CRS, if you have your database, you want to talk shop, and let's say look at some settings or features or ways you can improve your database, either on Zeta, G-Selector, or Aquira, RCS News, Revma, I'm forgetting something here, Zeta Cloud, something like that. Let us know. We're here to help out as well. You can schedule some time with me. You can email marketing@rcsworks.com, and we'll get you in touch with somebody, and we'll just sit down, have a chat, and talk about radio and how it pertains to you and your station as well. So again, if you're going to be at CRS, you want to bring your database or something like that, let us know. Of course, NAB as well. We're already having some conversations about scheduling some times at NAB this year, and so much more. So any questions, let us know. We're here to help out. That's the full list on there. And again, you can email marketing. You can poke it here, wherever you want. We'll let you know. Hey, RJ, how's it going, man? Thanks for checking in. And so, yeah, we're here to help out. That's the idea. Still hiring over at careers. So rcsworks.com, go to the About Us and Career page. Get to work with this beautiful face. We're looking for a music scheduling account executive right now. So if you're curious about that position, want to know more, again, check out the career page. You can poke me wherever you want to do. Whatever is easier for you is easier for us. That's the idea there too. So, and then don't forget, hashtag Studio Spotlight, email marketing@rcsworks.com, and we'll get you on there. Beta users, always looking for beta users. Zeta 5.23.1, which was the 5.22.1 version. We just kind of pushed it over to this year. And of course, we have G-Selector 5.1 is out right now. Aquira 3.22 is going to be out very shortly as well. That's in beta, if not mistaken, as well. Great. Should we dive right into it? Talking about proposals in Aquira. That's the idea here. So what we wanted to do is kind of show you around a little bit so you can see, how Aquira operates and get some tips and tricks in there as well. I should, as again, disclaimer for you, this is our demo database, so don't feel that any of these numbers are misleading or truthful or we're giving away information. This is just our demo database that we're playing with. That's my little disclaimer there as well. So we're working with proposals, right? So where are we in the world with proposals in the Aquira workflow? So under sales and proposed contracts, that's slightly different than, let's say, traffic and contracts, right? Because the idea is that proposals are done from the sales rep's perspective. That I am a sales representative. I'm going to add a proposal with agreed upon price, and we're going to have some numbers attached to that. And essentially, it's going to be on, let's say, the traffic manager or the sales manager to approve that proposal, which then turns it into a contract, right? So that's kind of where we are at this stage, but it's got the same metadata, right? Because it's going to be a proposal becomes a contract. So we got to add some of those fields in here at this step. So from the proposed contracts, you can see down here, I have my little quick navigation down at the very bottom. A lot of Aquira is broken down into browse and detail. Browse is like your search, where you can search existing, in this case, proposals, and the detail will edit that proposal, right, in that field. You'll see this all across Aquira. And again, you can add new things over here. There's also specific behaviors in that little browse window. So I'm just going to grab this random one here, double click on it. That's going to open up The detail tab allowed me to edit this particular proposal, right? Again, from the sales representative perspective, that's what we're working on over here. So I'm going to build this out here. You'll notice there's a lot of additional details, a lot of control with Aquira, because just like G Selector and Zeta, remember, we're trying to cater to a lot of users, a lot of workflows, and a lot of different approaches to what you want to accomplish. In this case, your traffic, your income, revenue, and all of that good stuff. So detail tab is broken down to a lot of these sub tabs here. And now there's a lot of information here. And I don't want you to be intimidated by this. Empower yourself to look at this and think of the amount of fields you can control with your proposals. You might find that some of this is, hey, you know what? I'm not using that. That's fine. Whereas others like, ooh, this is a very specific thing that my station really cares about, and I can define it inside of Aquira, right? So a couple things. We have our contract number that's in there, the advertiser, the account, what type of brand it is, clothing in this particular scenario, what the product is. So for example, that can also be like for automotive dealerships, right? Different brands for different car dealerships. You might have the same advertiser or same account, but they might have different car dealership and brands inside of that, right? So that's where we define the brand, the product, the sales representative, the description of that, and then so much more, like your rate card, the data was signed, the spot formats in there, the tax groups, billing frequencies. These are all fields that we're adding inside the proposal so we can go and execute those workflows down the line. So for example, rate cards, for the spot lines approaches, for the billing frequency, for the accounts receivable, and then there's invoicing, stuff like that, right? On the right-hand side, we have just kind of the number game, the gross, the discount, the net, stuff like that. We have the sales representative down here on the bottom left. And yes, you can have multiple sales representatives with some weight attached to them if you wanted to. We have the contract discounts that are down here. And of course, don't forget those discounts. You can have an advertiser discount, an account discount, a proposal or contract discount. But the idea is that when you do offer discounts in Aquira, define it and keep it consistent, because obviously if your advertiser has, let's say, a 10% discount, and then you're going to add an additional contract discount of 10%, that means that the actual contract itself has a 20% discount, right? Because I'm giving 10 to the advertiser, 10 to the contract itself. So just be aware, how that works out. Now, on the bottom left here, the very bottom, we have our attributes, and there's a lot of station-specific customizable attributes here. The idea in Aquira is that we want to have the control and the ability to define an attribute that pertains to your station's workflow, right? How it pertains to you. So we're going to save attributes for another day, but I just want to reiterate that, if there's something you want to customize, either a workflow or a trigger, whatever it is, never hesitate to reach out to RCS support or your Aquira onboarding specialist, and they will help you kind of guide what other users do, right? Because we have a lot of users who interpret Aquira different ways, and there's probably a workflow that somebody else in the world is doing right now that we can apply to your station. So again, reach out to RCS support or your Aquira onboarding. They can define those attributes down here and how it pertains to you. Now, from the proposal perspective, you can see on here we have the approval levels. This is obviously important because from a sales representative's perspective, this contract is not in the system yet. It's not being signed. It's not being invoiced. There's no spot lines, I should say. And then from there, we have to approve this from both, in this particular example, in this Aquira database, there's a sales approval, a business approval, and a traffic approval. Once those three checkboxes are done, the proposal officially turns into a contract, and we're done. Now, think of what that approval means. We are saying that we are approving this proposal. All numbers are finalized. All information is finalized and stuff like that. So just be cautious that, when we approve something, it's done. That's the deal. That's what we agreed on. Of course, there's some ways to kind of adjust it down the road, but we want to stick with best practices, which is all the information here is correct before we approve all of those options. Moving down the line here, relatively quickly for time purposes, I just really wanted to show you Aquira and the proposals and the amount of information that you have control over. So if you have any questions for me, chime in, Sandy or RJ, let me know, okay? So the summary, this is going to give you a summarization of all those general fields. So you can see the advertiser and account. You have the warnings here on the top right. This is going to be for any type of potential issue in really regard to billing, right? If I'm going to schedule these spot lines, but let's say there's an outstanding invoice or there's a credit limit or a warning, whatever it could be, we're going to flag that here, right? And again, any previous or current warnings. That's going to be like, hey, there's an invoice out. They haven't paid. Okay, I might see that and say, it's fine. Don't worry about it. From a sales manager perspective, if I have an invoice that is, let's say, a previous contract, a previous advertising proposal, and that, let's say, did not get paid, it's been 6 months, well, I might not approve this sale because that is an outstanding warning that I need to address. And you can see the line summary here too. Again, a summary of the proposal. What are we getting at here? Spots, charges, sponsorships, webs, and so much more. We'll get to that in just a second here. Going to our options. This is any kind of additional options we have. Again, notice the attributes down here. But the reality is we're talking about some of the more advanced options like the fillers. For example, network programming, any type of, if you're constantly undersold and you want to make sure you fulfill the full spot block, if there's a 6-minute spot block and you're typically selling 4 minutes, but you need to have a full 6, those are fillers in Aquira. Fill that spot block to hit the desired time. And, we can define that here as some of the options as well as separations and other different ones here if you want to as well. Also note down here the email reports. That is very important in the Aquira world because we have automatic reporting and some automatic invoicing that's in there. And so just in case you have one of those automatic triggers, we're going to reference this email report right here. So if this is blank or whatever reason, one of these fields are blank, you're not going to be able to export that report because you haven't defined it here as well. And just a little tip, those same email report options are also in the actual client and advertiser and account sections as well. So you might be able to fulfill that report through that option if you wanted to. Attributes, we kind of talked beforehand, way to customize everything. Spotlines, these are going to be your goods. This is essentially what you schedule in Aquira. Unlike other traffic systems, when we schedule our spotlines, it's done automatically here. So essentially the idea is that if I wanted to create a brand new spotline, I can define all this information here, right? The number of weeks on, weeks off, classification, any type of, what's going on, the station here list on the right-hand side as well. And remember, all these kind of numbers are fulfilled based on the proposal in the contract. If I wanted to override it, I can always go over here and override that if I wanted to, add certain elements. You can see there's all this corresponding metadata across the board. And this is also customizable based on how you want to view it, right? So you can see here, it's a day part, Monday through Friday. You might prefer a different type of, let's say, monthly, weekly, daily, something like that. There's configuration options here in Aquira as well. I'm going to cancel this for right now. Just hit that little delete option there. Yes, I'm going to delete my spotline, but there's a lot of options here for you too. Again, we'll save this for another day. I just want to show you some of these advanced options here for proposals. Charges are going to be anything that's, let's say, in addition, like a package deal and or something that's in there. So for example, a charge might be, let's say, a talent fee, right? It's going to be an advertising package that includes, I'll keep it simple, 50 spots plus, $150 charge for a live remote fee, something like that. That would be a charge you can define in here. Versus a sponsorship, that might be something along the lines of, if I'm going to sponsor something, right? Let's say it's a feature, 90s at noon, and part of the advertising package includes that I'm going to get sponsorship of this particular feature, programming feature. I can define that here in the sponsorships. Whereas costs are going to be what is deducted from the revenue in charge of the station. So for example, that live appearance, and every station kind of interprets this a little differently. Your charge might be a live appearance fee, but the cost might be, I don't know, $50 towards gas. Or, maybe you have an insurance thing where every appearance you have a $5 insurance, whatever it could be. That's going to be essentially a cost on the station that is part of the proposal. Now, one of the really cool things about Aquira is we now have some integration going on with our web interface as well, specifically Google Ad Manager and all of that. You can connect that into here. And notice, by the way, that we have a slightly different behavior because we're now pivoting from the audio world to the visual world with web impressions. And this is really cool. You can integrate this into your proposal in Aquira. So notice over here on the right-hand side, I have new stations because we're talking about web. We're talking about the web format, right? And also the web placement as well. So for example, if I'm going to sell a 200 by 300 web ad, I can say it's a tile ad. Boom. That's how I'm selling it, right? Well, that's a little bit different because we're not talking about a 60-second spot on WRCS FM. We're talking about a 300 by 20 pixel tile ad on WRCSFM.com, or I should say RCSworks.com for this better example. But it's a really, really cool feature. And then you can also integrate with Google Ad Manager, and you can actually get estimated impressions here. Once all this information is filled out, we can do estimated impressions live in real time. And we can also do post impressions as well in Aquira, which is really, really cool. Again, typical discounts, some attributes, stuff like that. But notice how we can start selling a proposal. And notice how all these fields, as we go down the line here, we can define the general and the summary of general metadata. We have some options to configure it, but then we can go and define charges, sponsorships, costs, web, right? All those additional features. So you can get an advertising package here, let's say with, I know I keep saying package. I gotta be very careful with my use of package because I'm just so used to saying it in the world. But obviously in Aquira, there is contracts, proposals, and packages are kind of a different nature in here too. So I apologize. I'll be a little more specific in my word choice there. But again, you can have a proposal, an advertising proposal that can go and say, I'm going to sell 100 spots with a live appearance fee. I'm going to take away $50 for gas from the station cost. I'm going to also have a web advertising of, you get a 1 month of this many impressions on a web format with a web placement, and I can actually integrate with Google Ad Manager to get estimated impressions. That's this little icon right here. So I can define the amount of either units achieved, the individual impressions, CPM, all that good stuff. That's all in here in the web portion. And again, rcsworks.com with the web versus WRCS FM, which is on, of course, the typical station list. Really cool stuff, right? When you really get into this, you can see I can really cater all this. Oh, yeah, I got to save my work. So I'm going to cancel that. Yeah, I'm going to delete my web line 1, jump back to media. Again, media is here. That's going to be essentially where, remember, for all of your spots, all of your elements, before you export your log, you need to attach your media in Aquira. The idea there is that we have to make sure that we have to tell our automation system what cart number to play with the physical media that's there. And of course, we have some advanced options like billing plans, attachments, and history, and all that stuff. Attachments are going to be anything that's like kind of non-media. It could be a special, like maybe a tax form or something like that, or anything that's a special, this proposal that's a non-audio. You can do the attachments there. And the history is going to be essentially the history of that particular proposal. Like maybe it was rejected for an approval. They made a change. You could see the history of that change. And then, of course, then approve it. Boom, boom, boom. See all that stuff there. And again, once we define those approvals here inside Aquira, that proposal turns over here to traffic, right? We go from the sales representative perspective to the traffic manager, and we have our finished contracts that we can then schedule and execute live in real time. And of course, all this is a combination of how you interpret, your traffic system and your operations. So you can see with the attributes, there could be certain things that are like, I don't know, make sure this person did what they're supposed to do, and true, false, they did it. Yay, great. And stuff like that. There's so many things you can do inside of Aquira to cater this to your particular workflow. Today, I thought we would go and outline the proposal and how you can customize this to your operations, right? Makes sense? I'm going through my little list here. Any questions, guys? Let's see. Santosh, any questions? Let me know. I'm just checking in some things over here, poking and see who's paying attention. So yes, any questions? Last call here. I'm stalling for time specifically. Sandy, thanks for checking in, as RJ as well. Yeah, that's Aquira and proposals. We'll be back again next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern time for another RCS Live. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye.